Hey, Brandon here. Welcome to the channel and thanks for tuning in. It's my favorite time of year, everybody. The 2024 rookie scouting season is upon us. Today, we're going to take a look at Bucky Irving, running back from Oregon Jr., who declared for the NFL draft. And when these players declare for the NFL draft or they decide they're going to the Senior Bowl, my podcast co host and I are going to be jumping on the channel here, providing you everything you need to know about these rookies as we head into the 2024 rookie season. It's mid-December. Bucky Irving said he's headed to the NFL. So he's our first rookie report of the season. You play Dynasty, you play Fantasy, and you're looking for a YouTube channel out there that is going to give you an early look at the 2024 rookie class, man. Hit that subscribe button. We got you covered here on this channel. I'm going to insert the show right here. We're going to go over his production. We're going to go over some PFF stats. We're going to go over his scouting report, translatable traits, as well as his Dynasty and draft capital projections. So enjoy the show. All right, well, let's get to our rookie report on Bucky Irving. I'm super excited to talk about Bucky Irving. And I think you and I are both excited to talk about Bucky Irving. He's one of my favorite players in the draft. All right, Bucky Irving, he is a true junior running back from Oregon, 5'10", 195 pounds. He is a true junior, had a hell of a season. His career stats, let's get right into it. He is also declared for the NFL draft. His career statistics, 420 carries, 2,500 yards, only 17 TDs, averaging 6 yards a tote. Loving the 85 receptions over 3 seasons, 735 yards, 5 TDs, 8.6 average. Only had 1 fumble, according to PFF, in 3 years, which is pretty solid. All right. So
that's pretty solid.
Yeah. So the PFF grades that you see on here, he's tipping the scale to outstanding in pretty much, all of the top 3 that we see. The rushing grade was 91, yards after contact, 3.99. That's in the higher, what looks like 90 percentile. And his elusive rating, 152, looks like it's in the high 90 percentile too. And this is for all FBS running backs, for the 2024 season or 2023 season. So 670 yards after contact, ranking 45th, and then 63 missed tackles forced, ranking tied for 12th, which is, I really like that because that kind of coincides with, the scouting report and the traits. Anything with those stats you want to make a comment on?
No, actually, it matches the film, so I love that.
Yeah, I mean, it does match the film. So let's talk about his scouting report. You and I like to call them translatable traits. I love that. When you brought that to my attention not too long ago, I was like, you know what? Love that term, because all of these players in this running back class have traits that are going to translate, and all of them have something that's going to hold them back from being that elite running back asset that we all are desperately seeking in this class. Not sure there are a lot of those. I think we're going to have a lot of useful, dynasty running backs. So let's talk about. I'll talk about the 2 that I like the most. His lateral quickness, I think, is outstanding. I think his footwork, but his lateral ability to change directions. I think you are also on the same page with me on that. There's one game, I think it was against Washington, maybe, that I put a tweet out there, and I've got a film on the YouTube channel as well, where, I mean, he made multiple cuts laterally, making guys miss, redirecting, accelerating very quickly out of his breaks. So I love his shiftiness and his receiving ability. Listen, if you guys are out there playing dynasty football and you're talking running backs, and you've got a guy that's caught 85 balls in 3 years, you've got to be excited about that. And, so, I mean, he's got to be, on your radar. So those are the 2 traits to me. I think he's elusive as hell. I love the way he catches the ball out of the backfield. I think he could be a weapon on an NFL field. What are the traits that you think he has that can get him to our dynasty rosters?
Yeah, I completely agree with you with the change of direction. That's definitely there. I mean, and you said something too. There was one game where he just strung together a bunch of different lateral cuts, evasive moves, and manipulation. It was like 4 or 5 in a row, and a couple of them were along the sideline. So he had sideline to where to tiptoe his way through and then cut back into the middle of the field. And I was like, holy crap, like that's special. The other thing too is I love the explosiveness. I think he's a dynamic, explosive athlete. The smaller frame is one thing, but I think that he just has a different level of just burst and like quick twitch nature within how he operates, and just I think that plays into the lateral agility too. So I just think he's a special athlete that sees the field very well.
Yeah, and when I watched him in 2022, I came away like, Pac-12 running back. I always get weary of Pac-12 running backs just because
I
of
know
the
you do.
defense and stuff. But then I
Yeah.
was watching this year, and there was 1 or 2 games mid-season where I completely flipped the physical play strength that I saw him fight
Yeah.
for every yard, dragging a couple tacklers. I was like, okay, he's 5'10", 195 pounds. A lot of people are going to write him off because he's not hitting that 200-pound threshold. But you watch the kid on the field, he lowers his pads and plays physical. And you know me, I love the physicality. And you can tell a running back
Mhm.
when they like contact and when they don't. It's pretty obvious how they approach, the contact point at, getting tackled. So if there's going to be a trait that holds him back in a lot of people's eyes, I know a lot of people don't like Bucky Irving because of his slight frame. And James Cook, 5'11", I think, 190, playing for the Buffalo Bills right now. Right. So we're going to talk about, comps here in a minute. So NFL, I think, is leaning towards having a bigger guy that can pound the rock. We just talked about Braylon Allen not too long ago. And now here we are talking about a young, another more explosive player. Is there a trait that you see that maybe would hold him back?
The only trait that I have down is sometimes he's a little bit too patient, trying to figure out where to go behind the line of scrimmage. I actually like his decision making once he's past the line of scrimmage a little bit more than behind it. I think that has a lot to do with just making sure that he hits the right gap and hole. And I think he thinks too much and dances too much at times, but that is something that's coachable and you can fix that. So I'm not too concerned about it. The other thing would be just the nature of the defenses that he's faced. It might take him a minute to be the guy that kind of comes on. Obviously, he's not going to be a primary running back in an offense, a role player, but even as a role player, it just might take him a minute to really identify the different schemes and the different assignments that the defense is showing him that maybe he's never seen before.
Yeah, I'm sure it's an adjustment for all of these running backs going to the
Yeah.
NFL. So let's talk about his draft and dynasty projection. Right now on mockdraftdatabase.com, he's a third and fourth round type player. He is looking like maybe early day or late day 2, but most likely early day 3. Where do you see him, getting, drafted right now? And again, it's mid-December, so it could be, we're early to the party here. This is all projection. We got 4 more months before we get there.
I think he's going to be late day too. I think a team
Yeah.
is going to fall in love with this skill set, very similar to like Tajay Spears.
Yeah. I like that. It's got not maybe as shifty as Tajay Spears, but I like that
Yeah.
comp a lot. So his rookie draft, I'm thinking late second, early third, could be early second, depending on draft capital. Again, it's really hard at this point to know without draft capital landing spot where he is going to fall, but I could see him second round, maybe dipping to the third round if he does fall into the day 3 and maybe 4 or 5 other backs get drafted before him.
Yeah, you know what? There are a lot of bigger backs in this class that have a
Mhm.
pretty well-rounded skill set. So I think probably safe to say late second, third, like we've been discussing.
Yeah. So from a dynasty value comp, we look at these players not through comparing skill sets, but maybe their path and journey to our dynasty rosters. I think he could potentially have a James Cook kind of scenario where he's drafted.
Mhm.
People are questioning whether he's big enough to run the rock full time. Don't think he's necessarily going to get a full time job in the NFL. James Cook right now, they had to Singletary, right? Who you're going to
Mhm.
talk about. They were both playing together last year for Buffalo.
Yeah.
Singletary kind of moves on. I wouldn't be surprised if the Buffalo Bills draft a bigger back to complement James Cook, but I think me personally, I think Bucky Irving could carve out a solid role as a 50% contributor on an NFL offense.
I don't disagree with that at all. And the comp I have based on the trajectory is Devin Singletary. And if you
Mhm.
think about it, it took Devin Singletary a little while to come on. It took James Cook all last year to really try to catch on. And it took both of them moving on. So one of them could just have that role because they're so similar. And now look at Devin Singletary with the Texans having a really nice season in the second half. And James Cook is exploding. So I could absolutely see Bucky Irving having the same type of outcome.
So in my 2024 ranks, I have Bucky Irving right now ranked 6th in the 2024 class. Again, it's mid-December. We're early doing these rookie reports. Where do you have your guy ranked? Where do you have him ranked in your ranks?
Six seems to be the sweet spot for both of us, buddy. I
All
got him
right,
at
good,
2.
good. And I have a feeling he might get a little higher by the time I get to the
I
NFL
did too.
draft.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And the fact that he's a true junior as a kind of a partings, note to this discussion is that he's a junior who's declaring for the NFL draft. And I think if he were to get the NFL kind of report saying, well, you're not ready to come, he may have come back to Oregon for another season. So I think that could be a little signal that he got some good news that's saying, yeah, you could be a late day 2, early day 3 guy. And draft class isn't that great for running back. So take your shot
Right.
right now. So
Go for it, right?
all right,
Yeah.
Jason, awesome. Good stuff on Bucky Irving.